countries to a global audience. You can guarantee that the content viewed on it is all copyright protected, so it's all legal and legitimate. It's personalised. You choose what you want to watch. You can go through a menu and you can select whether it's drama, whether it's scary, whether it's comedy, children, whatever. And there's lots of different revenue sources. So whether it's subscription on demand, or whether it's advertisement on demand, or whether there's very different methods of how we can consume this content. And quite a lot of consumers obviously like the free model, which is why we see piracy being such an issue. So a lot of suppliers are now looking at how they can do that with ad-funded services. So looking at some work that we've done and some research into this, we know that consumers prize in particular choice, and I as a consumer definitely like choice. Convenience, being able to view it whether it's online, whether you download it and watch it later, whether you're on your journey to work, whether you're at home. Family control, as a parent, I definitely know my child's watching some of this content, so I know that we can put the child control in place. And varied price points, so we can choose which model we want to spend our money on. And none of these will be unfamiliar, I'm sure. These are all some examples of online curated content services in the region. So obviously IWANT, Netflix, Hook, and there's different models. Some of them are local currently, but I'm sure have got plans to expand regionally and nationally. And then you've got the global players who are looking at doing local content for local consumers. And there's a huge, huge benefit for the local economy. So global video on demand hugely invests in producing local content for their local markets. And apparently, according to an Alphabeta study, which has done some research into this, video on demand is expected to invest $10 billion into ASEAN content. Now, $10 billion into the region to support the industry in whether it's producers, whether it's actors, whether it's all the parts of the industry that go into making any kind of production is huge. But the problem we've got, and the problem we certainly see, is as regulators try to put demands on this industry, it makes it harder for the content to be created, it makes it harder for the content to be shown. So a key part for the video production industry is the reliance on local partners to make all these productions, and also the benefits for the local industry is for their content to then go global. And I've heard many examples of when content made locally has then reached a global audience, which previously was never heard of, because you make a piece here in the Philippines, it doesn't go anywhere apart from the Philippines. But now you have the ability to reach a global audience. And I'm sorry that this is not a Filipino example. This is a Vietnamese example of the film Fury, which was apparently the first Vietnamese film released in the US market as a theatrical release in March 2019. And then Netflix picked it up, and it's now globally distributed in many different languages. And no Vietnamese film has ever penetrated quite so many global markets, and far more people watch it online than they do in the cinemas. So this is great news for the industry, whether it's in Vietnam, whether it's in the Philippines, wherever the content is being made, to reach a whole new audience that was never reached before. And this is only done because of the internet and because of online curated content. However, as I've already touched on, the online environment is fairly toxic. And this, again, will not be news to any of you. It's difficult for legitimate providers to make their way and compete against particularly the piracy part of the element. So as broadband penetration grows, so is the use of piracy growing. A recent YouGov survey that we did at AVIA suggested that 28% of Filipinos were accessing pirated content through the black boxes, the ISDs, and of those, 14% of them were then giving up their subscriptions to legitimate content. So that's not great for the industry because they're not getting the revenue, they're losing subscriptions, and how are they going to keep funding the productions? And as a consumer, to view content through a pirate site, you're risking seeing things about pornography, you're risking seeing things about gambling. Who knows what's being downloaded onto your device if you're using through a pirated site? And obviously, from a government perspective, the pirate sites don't pay taxes and don't have any ethics. So our concern is that we as legitimate providers should be promoting the industry and asking regulators to actually focus on where there's a real issue, which is the piracy side of it.